differentiate between, this is part B, differentiate between private and public nuisance. So you have public, and candidates, when you have terms to distinguish, please present the differences in a columnar format, so that you have public nuisance, private nuisance. It's good to have the distinctions in a columnar format. And why do you think candidates presenting the answers in columns is better than presenting the answers in paragraphs? Why do you think it is desirable to have the answers in columns? Can someone answer me that? One reason is that when you present the answers in columns like this, the way I've demonstrated here, it becomes easier for the one who is marking to see the distinctions. Your answers become marker friendly. Okay, so you can have one column for the basis of the difference, then you have the two terms. And one basis for distinguishing terms is just by definition. If you define private nuisance and define public nuisance, that definition will bring out one difference. So a private nuisance is an unlawful interference with a person's use or enjoyment of their land or some right. Do you understand? Private nuisance is an unlawful interference. Being a nuisance is to unlawfully interfere with a person's enjoyment of their right. You understand? It's unlawful interference of an individual's enjoyment of right. You understand? Private nuisance, I repeat, is an unlawful interference with a person's enjoyment. Okay? Interference of a person's or an individual's enjoyment of some right. So you can be a nuisance to an individual, or you can be a nuisance to the general public. You understand? So nuisance may affect just an individual or a group of individuals, many individuals, or the public. Public nuisance, that is to say, is an act or omission that materially affects the reasonable comfort and convenience of the members of the public. You understand? So that is one definition or distinction based on definition. Now, the second distinction can be based on the scope of nuisance. Scope of nuisance. Or let me say scope of impact. Scope of impact. You can distinguish the two by identifying the scope of impact. The scope. Here we have said that the nuisance only affects an individual, whereas the public nuisance affects a class of people or a community as a whole. This one affects an individual. This one affects a class of people or community. For example, if you are playing loud music in your house, you can maybe unlawfully interfere with your immediate neighbors' enjoyment of their right to peaceful environment, or your music can affect the whole community. If it's too loud, it can affect a larger group of individuals in a community. Scope. You understand? So these are two differences. Another distinction can be based on the one who standing, like let me say standing to sue. Standing to sue. Standing to sue. For private nuisance, only the person with an interest in the affected land, okay, can sue. Only this individual who is affected by this private nuisance can sue. But in public nuisance, on the other hand, candidates, public nuisance, an individual can only sue if they have suffered special damage beyond that of the general public. Do you get the difference? We can distinguish private nuisance from public nuisance by looking at the persons who stand to sue, who have a right to sue. Those who have a right to sue. And I've said that in private nuisance, only the person with an interest in the affected land can sue. Whereas in public nuisance, candidates, an individual can only sue if they have suffered special damage beyond that of the general public. Okay? Otherwise, it is the Attorney General, or even the Attorney General who typically brings action in public nuisance. But if it's an individual who has suffered more damage than the rest of the members of the public, and there is evidence to that effect, then such an individual can sue for matters relating to public nuisance. You are to give 2 candidates, but I'm giving more because you may be required, maybe in your paper, to give 4 distinctions. Another basis for distinction is focus. Focus. The focus. Private nuisance focuses on the interference of an individual's property rights. Okay? Individuals, it focuses on an individual's rights. Okay? Individual's property rights. That is private nuisance. Whereas public nuisance concerns the interference of public rights. It is concerned with the interference of public rights. Focuses on the interference with individual rights, whereas public nuisance concerns with the interference with the public rights and interests. And of course, examples of private nuisance include playing loud music, okay? Loud music, loud noise from a neighbor's property. It could be foul smell. If there is a dog or a cat that has died in your compound and is emitting foul smell, that can constitute nuisance. Okay? Or even noise from a nearby factory, that can constitute. Another example could be just even branches of a tree. Branches of a tree hanging over your neighbor's fence, okay? Damaging property in your neighbor's compound. That is an example of private nuisance. Examples of public nuisance include obstructing the public highway. If you obstruct the road, obstruction, that is an example of public nuisance, right? Obstruction, when you obstruct the users of a road. Or polluting a river that is affecting a community. If you pollute a river that is used by many members of the community, that is public nuisance. Carrying out dangerous activities, okay, which poses a risk to the public, that constitutes public nuisance. So these are a few distinctions of private and public nuisance. You understand? Is that clear?